Sampurita pamita paramita balena vidvansiyo kila kilesa samoha jalang teneva landa arahang arahoti namam vandami buddha mamalang hadaye tapentwa. Venerable members of the Mahasangha, friends in the Dhamma, again we are going to continue our meditation retreat. In this time we have to practice walking meditation. Before that I would like to say something about the Dhamma. When we see the Buddha's message, Buddha always explained his message for the benefits of this birth and to next birth and to overcome the samsaric circle. When we see the Buddha's message, some doctrines that we can see Buddha explain for benefits of this immediate life. According to Vyagapaja Sutta, one day the Jnanakoya came to Buddha and asked the Supreme Buddha, Venerable Bhante, let me know please what are the qualities that I should practice for the benefits of this immediate life. Buddha says, Vyagapaja, if you want to succeed this immediate life, you have to practice some qualities. Uttana sampada, arakka sampada, kalyana mitata, samajivikatata. Uttana sampada means the effort or dedication to do something. Uttana sampada, or earning or learning something. Arakka sampada, if we earn something we have to protect it. And also kalyana mitata, associating good friends. And samajivikata, balanced livelihood. These four things are beneficial to this immediate life. Again he asked, Bhante, please explain me what are the things that how you have to practice for the benefits of the next life and the samsaric journey. Here Buddha explained four qualities. Saddha sampada, sila sampada, chaga sampada, and panya sampada. Saddha sampada means the accomplishment of confidence in the Buddha's message. Sila sampada, the accomplishment of virtue or moral conduct. Next Buddha says, Chaga sampada, the accomplishment of practicing generosity. And finally Buddha says, Panya sampada, the accomplishment of wisdom, or having wisdom. These are the qualities that we have to practice for the benefits of our samsaric circle. And also especially Panya sampada, wisdom focuses on getting rid of samsaric circle. Here it is very clear what we should practice for our success. First of all, we should succeed our this immediate life, and also we should have a blissful life hereafter. And also we have knowledge how to overcome the samsaric circle. These are the things that we should practice as a wise person who is born in this world. However, when we practice something, our inner peace should gradually increase. That is the main thing. Happiness is the main purpose of everyone. Especially we should consider, we should take care of our mind. Buddha says, Chittan Dantan Sukavahan. That sentence is also here. Chittan Dantan Sukavahan. What is the meaning? The mind well tamed brings happiness. Chittan Dantang Sukavahan, well purified mind brings happiness. That is very important. Buddha says, Sachitta Paryodapanam. All Buddhas who appear in this world explain this message. Sabbapapa Sagaranam, Kusala Supasambada, Sachitta Paryodapanam, purifying one's mind. Especially, we should focus on getting rid of ignorance. Ignorance or delusion is the main reason that causes us to go to next birth and go to samsaric self. What is the nature of ignorance or delusion? When we experience something, we immediately think that there is something outside. That is the nature of our mind. Buddha's message focuses on getting rid of ignorance or delusion. He explains the way how we achieve the real wisdom, enlightenment. In his first sermon in Dhammachakka Sutta, Buddha says, Chakkum udapadi, Jnanam udapadi, Panya udapadi, Vijja udapadi, Aloka udapadi. Chakkum udapadi, eye arose. Jnanam udapadi, knowledge arose. Vidya udapadi, science arose. Aloka udapadi, light arose. What is the light? What is the knowledge? What is the science? What is the eye? Buddha realized very special thing nobody had realized before. In his first sermon, Buddha says, Pubbe annusutisu dhammesu chakkumudapadi. I realized something that no one had realized before. There were some ascetic people before Buddha appeared in this world, but everyone explained the same thing. Some people had explained something, some cessations. They had explained cessation, dukkha, samudaya, nirodha, magga. They also had realized. But dukkha satya, samudaya satya, nirodha satya, and magga satya, nobody had realized. That is the difference. He explained, he realized very special thing no one had realized. Very special thing. What is that? When we experience something, we contact something in this world. We contact the material world at the present moment. When we see something, when we hear something, when we smell something, when we taste something, when we touch something, when we remember something. Especially when we contact something through our five senses, we experience something, we contact something through our five senses. But the very important thing, when we recognize it, when we understand it, the form has already ceased. We can never realize something, understand something at the present moment as the material world. We always recognize or understand the material world after material world has ceased. Now you see something, you hear something, you may smell something, you may taste something. You can feel something through your physical body. You may think that I understand something through my five consciousnesses. Actually, we can contact something through our five consciousnesses, but when we understand it, the first experience has immediately ceased. We always recognize something through our mind consciousnesses. We understand something through 4 aggregates. When we contact something, 5 aggregates can be seen there. But when we understand it, we understand everything through our 4 aggregates. Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Feeling, perception, consciousness and mental formations or mind objects. If you see this reality, if you realize this reality at least 1 second at this moment you have overcome suffering. Whenever you think this reality, you don't depend on outside. When you see something, if you are mindful and wise that now the form has ceased, do you have lust or anger? When you see something, if you know completely this form has ceased when I recognize it through my mind consciousness, the form has ceased, I has ceased, I consciousness has ceased. If you have this understanding, you can recognize something through your eyes, through your eye consciousness. But you are wise that this form has already ceased. When you look at the sky, you can see some stars. But if you know that that star has ceased for a long time, even though you see that star, you have no attachment and even no detachment. Our all experiences are also like that. Mindfulness focuses on to live on this reality. First of all, we should have this understanding through listening to Dhamma. That says in Buddhism, Suttame Jnana, the knowledge of hearing. Then we have to think it again and again. It says in Buddhism, Chintame Jnana, the knowledge of thinking. Then we should make it true by meditating, Bhavaname Jnana, the knowledge of meditation. As soon as someone who is wise listening to this message, he is so inspired, he is so happy if we have enough knowledge and good karmas that we have done in previous lives. Immediately we come to the Dhamma. We don't depend on anything or anyone outside. After listening to this message, some disciples of Buddhas, they say that Abhikhantam Bhogottama, Abhikhantam Bhogottama, Bhante, excellent, excellent. I understand this reality. Please consider me as your disciple. I go to the Buddha for refuge. I go to the Dhamma for refuge. I go to the Sangha for refuge. This is the I, this is the science, this is the knowledge, this is the wisdom. This is the discovery that Buddha had realized and proclaimed to the world with great compassion. We have to practice this path. Okay, first of all, we are going to practice walking meditation. for few minutes, and then we are coming back for our sitting meditation. First of all, we are going to practice walking meditation. We walk mindfully and slowly. At the same time, we can be aware of our walking posture, and also, if you like, if you comfortable, you can practice the contemplation of four fundamental elements. This body consists with four fundamental elements. They are Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo. Earth element, water element, fire element and air elements. We can contemplate on these four fundamental elements. Especially, please be aware of your body posture. Mindfully and slowly. Okay, let's start. Thank you. Friends in the Dhamma, we have been practicing mindfulness according to Buddha's message. As I mentioned earlier, when we practice mindfulness, the very first step of mindfulness is that keeping our attention in the present moment and practice sati nimitta, the focus of mindfulness, or mindfulness object, or the sign of mindfulness. It means we are aware of that now I am living in the present moment. It doesn't mean that we don't think our past or future. We can think anything. We can think our past or future, it doesn't matter. But the thing is, we should be aware of that now I am thinking about the past. I am thinking in the future. That is the main thing. Buddha says, when we practice mindfulness at the beginning, Selancha Suisuddhan Ditti Jujuka, we should have virtue or moral conduct, and also we should have clear vision before we practice mindfulness. We should understand the destination, what we should go. And also what is the purpose of practicing mindfulness. There Buddha says, according to Vibhanga Sutta, Satipattanang o bhikkhave desissami Satipattana bhavanancha Satipattana bhavanagamini patipadancha. Venerable monks, I explained mindfulness meditation, and the path that leads to mindfulness meditation. Satipatthana bhavana, and Satipatthana bhavanagamini patipada. These three steps are very important. The very first one is mindfulness. It means keeping our attention in the present moment in our body, feeling, mind or consciousness, and mind objects. That is mindfulness. Mindfulness meditation is that samudaya dhammanupassī viharati, vaya dhammanupassī viharati. Reflecting on impermanence. Arising and ceasing of body, feeling, mind or consciousness, and mind objects. Mindfulness belongs to present moment. Mindfulness belongs to the conventional truth. But mindfulness meditation belongs to the absolute truth inside meditation. And the path that leads to mindfulness meditation is that vision. Silancha suisuddhan dittin jujuka. We should cleanse the path, vision, before we start our spiritual journey. That is why the worthy one says, Samma Ditti Pure Javang. Right understanding should be first. It goes front. It goes first. Right understand always should be first. What is the right understanding? Buddha says, Janato aham bhikkhave passato asavanam kayam vadami no ajanato no apassato. I proclaim the liberation to those who know the path, who see the path. What should be known? What should be seen? The Four Noble Truths. Four Noble Truths should be understood. What are the Four Noble Truths? Dukkha Satya, the noble truth of suffering. Samudaya Satya, the noble truth of the origin of suffering. Nirodha Satya, the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. And Magga Satya, the noble truth of the path that leads to getting rid of suffering. These four things are very, very, very important. I think that these four things are very easy. It is very easy to remember. Dukkha, Samudaya, Nirodha, Magga. We usually think it is very easy. But Buddha says very clearly, because of not understanding these four things, we came far away. We dwelled for a long time in the samsaric circle because of not knowing of these four things. What are these four things? The first one is Dukkha Satya. Buddha says, Kāyikan dukkhaṃ cedasika dukkhaṃ tapettva avasesaṃ dukkha satyam. Is there anything besides physical suffering and mental suffering that is the noble truth of suffering? When we see something as suffering, we mostly think that it should be physical suffering or mental suffering. Except physical suffering and mental suffering, we know nothing. This is the very special thing that a Buddha realized. A Buddha appears in this world because of this understanding. Again, Buddha says, Kāyikan dukkhaṃ cedasika dukkhaṃ dukkhaṃ ca dukkha satyam ca. Is there physical suffering or mental suffering? That is the suffering and the noble truth of suffering. This is the place where we can show our skillfulness. If someone listening to this message, if he is very wise and a gifted person, he is inspired with this understanding. And if he doesn't know it, he again and again listening to this message until he understands. Kāyikan dukkhaṃ cedasika dukkhaṃ tapettva avasesaṃ dukkha satyam. Is there anything besides physical suffering and mental suffering that is the noble truth of suffering? This is a very special thing. What is that? Panchaskandha. When we contact something, when we see something, 5 aggregates immediately arise at that moment. When we look at something, our eye and forms are the aggregate of form, Rupaskandha. And consciousness, eye consciousness is the aggregate of consciousness. And the perception is the aggregate of perception. And Chetana, our mental formations, belongs to the Sankhara Khanda, the aggregate of mental formations. And feeling belongs to the aggregate of feeling. These 5 things arise at the moment as a result of our very immediate previous experience, previous action. The very first experience arises and it immediately ceases. We can't hold it. We can't stay this experience. It's just a very primary understanding. Whether we like or not, it arises and ceases immediately. When we recognize it, the first experience has already ceased. The very first experience, the first 5 aggregates are neither pleasant nor unpleasant. That is neither wholesome nor unwholesome. That is pure. That is just a result of our previous karma. If we don't know this reality, immediately we look at outside, we think still it is happening outside, the very first experience. Then we go to the end of arising, samudayante, isparsa samudaya, arising of contact. We are related to the samudayante, the extreme of arising. We mostly live in this extreme. That is why always we look at outside and we respond outside without this understanding. That is why we mostly suffer because of outside experiences. But the other thing, if someone knows this reality and if he is always mindful and wise, he can see something, he can hear something, he can experience something, but he immediately sees that the first experience has ceased. Then he doesn't go to the samsaric circle. Avidyāyatveva asesa viraga nirodha sankhara nirodho. With the cessation of ignorance, mental formations which consist with ignorance immediately cease. Sankhara nirodha viññāna nirodho. With the cessation of mental formations, consciousness ceases. With the cessation of consciousness, Viññāna paccānām rūpam. With the cessation of consciousness, mentality and corporeity immediately cease. This is the Nirodha Satya. If you are ignorant, we go to Sankhara, Viññāna, Nama, Rupa, Salayatana as the new karma. That belongs to Samudaya Satya. The very first experience is the Dukkha Satya. Dukkha means, it doesn't mean that we are suffering. It is as a truth, it is suffering. It is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. It is neither wholesome nor unwholesome. It is just a result. The very first experience, the first noble truth, the noble truth of suffering should be understood. We don't need to overcome it. We don't need to reduce it. We just need to understand. The very first experience should be understood. That is why Buddha says, Dukkha Satyam Parinyayam. The noble truth of suffering should be understood. And the Samudaya Satyam Pahatabbang. The noble truth of the origin of suffering should be overcome, should be reduced. When we see something, if we think there is outside, we immediately go to suffering. For example, when we go somewhere, sometimes we use some flashlight. When we go somewhere with a flashlight at night, if we see a snake or someone, immediately we are afraid of seeing that. What is the reason? We usually think that I am living in the place where the flashlight is flashing. That is why we suddenly afraid of it. But if we know very well that now I am in back, if you are mindful, even though we see something, we don't have fear. Like that, when we see something, when we hear something, when we smell something, when we taste something, we immediately have attachment or detachment. What is the reason? The reason is that ignorance or delusion. What is the ignorance? Ignorance means we think still it is happening outside somewhere. When someone blames you, you may immediately get upset. You may get angry. What is the reason? You may think that the sound is outside. The sound arises because of that person. Still that sound and that person is in outside. That is why we are suffering. That is why we get angry. As soon as we hear something, if you are mindful and wise that when I recognize that sound, the first experience has ceased. We can recognize that sound, but he or she can make us angry because of our understanding and mindfulness. Even though we have known this reality, if we are not mindful at that moment, we suffer, we get angry because of no mindfulness. In this situation, again and again, we have to practice mindfulness in our day-to-day life. In one side, we should have clear understanding how suffering arises and how suffering ceases. When we experience something, we can contact something with 5 aggregates. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Form, feeling, Sanya perception, Sankhara mental formations, so mind objects, and Vijnana consciousness. These 5 things arise together at the moment as the result of our immediate previous karma. This very first experience is very pure. It is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. It is neither wholesome nor unwholesome. But if we are ignorant, the first experience we take as mine, as me, as myself. since we are in the corner of the arising, samudayante. If we are in the nirodhanta, the corner of cessation, we are inspired, we are knowledgeable, we are wise, we are mindful. The very first experience has already ceased. Now I recognize this form, sound, smell or anything, not through five consciousnesses, but through my mind consciousness. If we have this understanding and mindfulness, how our life is nice. Then this is the place where we can see the qualities of the Dhamma. Sanditthiko akaliko, directly visible, immediately effective. Swakahato bhagavata Dhammo, sanditthiko akaliko. Dhamma is well expounded by the Blessed One, directly visible, immediately effective. This is the very real place that we can see these qualities of the Dhamma. Sanditthiko akaliko. If we know this reality and if we are mindful at this moment, nobody or nothing can disturb our peace of mind. We are not controlled by outside persons and anything. This is the place where I can make a refuge, insurance, assurance. When you are listening to this message, this is also a place that we liberate from suffering. If you can maintain this understanding, you are like a lotus flower. You are like a bird. You are like a still water, very pure water. You don't need to depend on anything or anyone. After this experience, we don't depend on even the Buddha. And we are so happy, we are proud of our experience or our understanding. By practicing mindfulness, we trained our mind to live for a long time with this understanding. With this understanding, if you are mindful, it means we are near the Buddha. Nobody can disturb our peace of mind at that moment. Whenever we are away from mindfulness, we are helpless. We are away from the Buddha. Then we are controlled by outside. Whenever we are away from mindfulness, it means we are away from the Buddha and we are near the Mara or devil. He can control us. He can bring us suffering. The very first noble truth is that the very first experience. Samudaya Satya means not having this understanding. If we are ignorant, we are attached to the world. Then we are in the samsaric circle, avidya paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnana, so on. That is the Samudaya Satya. Whenever we are in the corner of the cessation, the nirodhanta, there are avidjayatve vasesa viraga nirodha sankhara nirodho. With the complete cessation of ignorance, consciousness ceases. Avidjayatve vasesa viraga nirodha sankhara nirodho, sankhara nirodha vijnana nirodho, so on. Then jati nirodha, jara marana nirodho, jara marana nirodha, soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa nirodhanti. That is the cessation of suffering, nirodha satya. If we want to achieve this goal, we have to practice something. Magga satya, the path that leads to getting rid of suffering. What is that? The Noble Eightfold Path, Ariyatangika Magga. Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. These are the highest mental formations, Sobana Kaidasika, that we have to practice. When we practice these highest, valuable, important, positive thoughts, wholesome objects, wholesome mental formations, then other positive thoughts gradually increase. When we practice mindfulness, it belongs to mindfulness. When we practice sammaditthi, it belongs to panya. When we practice samma sankappa, we practice alobha dosa. Someone asked me, where is the human values or good qualities according to the path? When I was preaching the Dhamma, someone asked me, Bhante, where is the human values on this path? What is the answer? According to the Noble Eightfold Path, where we can see the human values? Usually when we see the common society, some people, they ask the human values, the feelings, the karuna, maitri, so on. Those are the qualities they accept. Sometimes they don't know samadhi, panya, they don't know them. But they see as human values, karuna, maitri, so on. Or parityaga, silitya, generosity. Where we can see these qualities on the path of the Noble Eightfold Path? Samma Sankappa. Samma Sankappa means Nekkama Sankappa, Avyapada Sankappa, Avihimsa Sankappa. Nekkama Sankappa means generosity or letting go from sensual desire. The intention free from attachment. And Avyapada Sankappa, the intention free from anger. Avihimsa Sankappa, the intention free from cruelty. Here we can see the human values. As soon as we have sammaditthi, right understanding, immediately we become samma sankappa, right intention. As the result of practicing avyapada sankappa or adosa, loving kindness meditation. As the result of practicing loving kindness meditation, the highest attitude that we have, that we see a person like our only son or daughter. If we have this attitude, we have all the human values here. Therefore, it is very important to understand. The more we have right understanding of sammaditthi, the more we have inner qualities, human values, good qualities. Dana and metta bhavana. If a person can see a person like he saw her only son or daughter. He is generous. He has no jealousy. Always he or she has compassion, loving kindness, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. That is the answer. When we practice the Noble Eightfold Path with the clear understanding of the Chaturarya Satya, the Four Noble Truths, all the good qualities, human values, spiritual faculties gradually increase as the result of this clear vision. That is why always we should have clear understanding. Sammaditthi. Sammaditthi pure javang. Right understanding goes first. It is like a flag. It should go first. With this understanding, if we practice these 8 steps, we are on the path of liberation. These steps are named as the 8 mindfulness steps of happiness. These 8 steps are the path of happiness, not path of liberation. These steps are the path of happiness. Happiness is the main purpose of everyone. If someone can practice these 8 steps according to the knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, he always getting rid of suffering, achieving the real happiness, spiritual happiness. Always he conducts everything according to this path. He doesn't go anywhere from this path. Until we receive this understanding, practicing the Noble Eightfold Path is very difficult. But after having this understanding, what is difficult? Actually, it is difficult to go away from the Noble Eightfold Path. Practicing the Noble Eightfold Path is easier than not practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. We can see the results. We can go away from suffering as the result of practicing this path. Day by day, we can see that our inner peace and happiness gradually increases because of reducing negative thoughts, greed, anger, and delusion from our mind. These 4 things are very important. Understanding the Four Noble Truths. Dukkha Satya, Samudaya Satya, Nirodha Satya, and Magga Satya. Dukkha Satya means very first experience that we receive through our senses. The first truth should be understood. The second truth, Samudaya Satya, the noble truth of the origin of suffering, should be overcome. Nirodha Satya, Satyaka Dhamma, the noble truth of the cessation of suffering should be realized. Magga Satyang Bhavetabba, the noble truth of the path of suffering should be practiced or developed. If we have this understanding, always we are achieving these 4 things. Here, practicing mindfulness plays a very special role. Mindfulness is the center. The very first one is saddha. The second one is effort. In the middle, mindfulness. And next, concentration. Finally, Panya, wisdom. Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. These are the 4 spiritual faculties. Sati is in the middle. that mindfulness should be a part of the Noble Eightfold Path. We are unable to separate mindfulness from the Noble Eightfold Path. In the current society, we can see everywhere mindfulness. Mindful eating, mindful drinking, mindful sleeping, mindful playing. It is a very famous topic in the current society. What they say? They say that please forget your past, forget your future, live in the present moment. It is Buddhism? It is not Buddhism. If it is Buddhism, very little children and animals should be the enlightened persons. Why is that? They don't think they are past or future. They live in the present moment. Animals and very little kids, they live in the present moment. Are they enlightened? They are not enlightened. Buddhism never says us to forget anything. Forgetting is a very big mistake. The more we practice mindfulness, the more our memory increases. Memory is not the fault. What is the fault? Fault is that ignorance. When we remember something which happened in the past, if our mind immediately goes to past and live in the past with ignorance, that is the cause of suffering. That is the fault. That should be overcome. We can remember anything which happened in the past. Memory is not the fault. Arahants can remember anything which happened in the past. They can remember for 500 eons in the past. Samma Sambuddha can remember anything which happened in the past. Memory is not the fault. The fault is that ignorance or delusion, avidya. What is the avidya? When we remember something, if our mind is fixed in outside world, in the material world, then outside world can control us. We are controlled by outside because of our ignorance. That is the cause of suffering. Avidya bhavatanha. We should overcome avidya and bhavatanha, ignorance and attachment to the world. For that, we should have clear understanding how suffering arises, and also we should practice this path, mindfulness, according to the Noble Eightfold Path, as a part of the Noble Eightfold Path. We can separate mindfulness from the Noble Eightfold Path. In the current society, many people practice mindfulness. They separate mindfulness from the Noble Eightfold Path. Without right understanding, they practice mindfulness. They can live in the present moment happily, but they are unable to overcome suffering completely because still they have ignorance. They live like children and animals. That's the difference. In this situation, we should have clear understanding mindfulness, mindfulness meditation, and the path that leads to mindfulness meditation. Satipatthana Bhavana, and the Satipatthana Bhavana Gamini Patipada. These three things should be understood by a person who wishes to attain the peace of mind. With this understanding, Buddha says, Ekaino ayam bhikkhave maggo satthanam visuddhya. Practicing mindfulness is only way for the purification of beings. Soka paridhavana samatikkamaya, for the getting rid of sorrow and lamentation, grief and pain, for the gaining understanding, and for the attaining enlightenment. mindfulness. This is the Mindfulness Meditation Center. You have a very big duty under this roof. You have to practice correct mindfulness. Actually, as devotees of this temple, you have a very big duty to understand the right mindfulness and to practice it. Actually, mindfulness is a very famous topic in this current society. But when we talk with them, it is very clear that many people don't know the real meaning of mindfulness according to Buddhism. Therefore, you are so fortunate. You have this understanding. You have a chance to understand this reality, and also you have a chance to practice this path with a lot of facilities. You are so fortunate. Having a lot of facilities here, you can practice Dhamma very well here. You are so lucky. You are so fortunate. However, with this understanding, we should practice mindfulness in 4 areas. 4 areas. What is that? The contemplation of body, the contemplation of feelings, the contemplation of consciousness, and the contemplation of mind objects. Kayanupassana, Vedanupassana, Chittanupassana, Dhammanupassana. When we practice Anapanasati Bhavana, according to 16 steps, we can develop very spiritual mental formations. That is why Buddha says, if someone practices only one thing, he is able to realize 4 things. When he realizes 4 things, he is able to realize other 7 enlightenment factors. As a result of having this understanding, he is able to achieve liberation and understanding. When we practice the very first one, which is that Anapanasati Bhavana, with this understanding, we are able to practice 4-fold mindfulness. As the result of practicing 4-fold mindfulness, the 7 enlightenment factors gradually develop. Sati, Dhamma Vijaya, Viriya, Piti, Passaddhi, Samadhi, Upekka. As the result of developing these 7 enlightenment factors, we are able to achieve Vijja Vimukti, liberation and understanding. This is the path. For that, we are going to practice Anapanasati Bhavana, breathing meditation. Okay, friends in the Dhamma, please get ready for our meditation practice. Okay, please practice Sati Nimitta, the focus of mindfulness. Just keep your attention around the nose or upper lip in the present moment. At the same time, now we are going to practice breathing meditation. When I breathe in, I am aware of that now I am breathing in. When I breathe out, I am aware of that now I am breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am contemplating on my very natural breathing in and out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am fully aware of breathing in and out in the present moment. Breathing in, breathing out. When I breathe in alone, I understand that now I am breathing in alone. When I breathe out alone, I recognize that I am breathing out alone. When I breathe in short, I recognize that now I am breathing in short. When I breathe out short, I immediately understand that now I am breathing out short. Recognizing breathing in and out short and long, I am breathing in and out mindfully, naturally. I am breathing in, sensitive to the entire breathing body. I am breathing out, sensitive to the entire breathing body. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am breathing in, sensitive to the entire breathing body. I am breathing out, sensitive to the entire breathing body. I am breathing in, calming bodily fabrication. I am breathing out, calming bodily fabrication. Breathing in, breathing out. When my mind gains concentration with the practice of breathing in and out, I understand the breathing. This breathing is a part of my physical body. This physical body is the result of nutrition or food that I have taken. Because of nutrition or food I take, this body arises. As the result of the cessation of food, this body also ceases. ආහාර සමුදය රූප සමුදයෝ ආහාර නිරෝධ රූප නිරෝධෝ. With the arising of nutrition, this body arises. With the cessation of nutrition of food, this body also ceases. Arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends in the Dhamma, now you have your drinks and they will give you gilampasa or drinks and you can take it mindfully. Keeping your attention in the present moment, please take and drink your drink. If you need to relax your body, you can do it. Mindfulness in the Dhamma. According to Mahasatipatthana Sutta, we can do everything mindfully. According to Kayanupassana, whatever we do with intention, it belongs to Kayanupassana. From morning to going to bed, if we can do everything with our intention, with the awareness of our body, it belongs to Kayanupassana. We keep our attention in the present moment and we do everything mindfully. Doing something mindfully belongs to the conventional truth. Still we are in ignorance, even though we practice Kayanupassana. The reason is that we depend on the body, the material world. Even though it belongs to our own life, if we experience something with our physical body, the form has already ceased. We are unable to do something with the physical body. We can do it, but when we recognize it, the physical body also has ceased. We do everything through our mind consciousness. We always recognize or experience something as materialism. Actually, the very first experience has already ceased. We can see the place where we are sitting now. When you sit somewhere at this moment, you can see it. If you need to see where you are sitting just now, you have to stand up. Then you see a place. It is not a place now you are sitting, where you sat. Like that, we never recognize the material world. Actually, we have experienced the dead body. This is the reality, whether we like or not, whether we accept or not, whether we believe or not, this is the reality. It doesn't mean that there are no forms in this world. Buddhism never says it. Buddhism accepts the 5 aggregates. There are 5 aggregates in this world as the persons who was born in this human life. Human life depends on the 5 aggregates: Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. But that 5 aggregates are only in the result of our previous karma, as the Dukkha Satya. In the Dukkha Satya, we contact something with 5 aggregates. But when we recognize that experience, form has already ceased. Not only form, all the 5 aggregates as the result that we receive in the very first experience have already ceased. Sanya can be seen in various places. Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, Vedana can be seen various places. The names are same, but the environment is different. For example, when we receive the result or vipaka as the first experience, there also we can see Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. And also after it ceased, we can see again these 4 things in the Paticcasamuppada. Avidya, Paccaya, Sankhara, Sankhara paccaya vijnana. There also we can see vijnana, sankhara, sanya, everything there. That sanya, vedana, sankhara, vijnana belong to the ignorance, belong to the samsaric circle. Those aggregates consist of ignorance. We are in the samsaric circle. And also when we practice the Noble Eightfold Path, there also we can see Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. When we practice Panya or wisdom, there also we have these four aggregates. Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. But that aggregates consist of wisdom. That helps us to overcome the samsaric circle. But the other things which are in the samsaric circle, they cause us to go to the samsara. On the other side, when someone after attaining enlightenment, there also we can see Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Words are same, but the context is different. Therefore, we should be very wise. Sometimes Buddha says Vijnana or Sanya should be understood. What is that? That belongs to the Dukkha Satya, the very first experience. Sometimes Buddha says you have to overcome Vijnana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vedana. Where is that? It belongs to the samsaric circle. Avidya paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnana. There are Vijnana, Sankhara, Vedana we should overcome because it consists of ignorance. And also somewhere Buddha says we should develop Sanya or Sankhara or Vijnana. Why it is? According to Girimananda Sutta, Dasa Sanya, we should develop Dasa Sanya. That Sanya perception belongs to Panya, belongs to the Magga Satya. That should be developed. Some people don't know this difference. Therefore, they think that if there is something which is consciousness or perception, it is only one thing, one definition. Actually, we can give a very single definition, one definition for these words. Where? Yes, everywhere, everything arises and ceases. That is the nature of them. But we should understand Vijnana in the Dukkha Satya, we should understand it. Vijnana which comes in Patisampada, we should overcome it because it consists of ignorance. And also somewhere we can see in Magga Satya, Vijnana, when we practice the Noble Eightfold Path, there also we have consciousness. That consciousness should be developed. And also according to Vedanta Sutta, Dhammadinna Mehaniya was asked by Visakha. Visakha Upasaka asked Dhammadinna Theri that Vijnana and wisdom are near or they are separated. He says, where there is wisdom, consciousness also there. Consciousness and wisdom are unable to divide. Not only that, wherever there is ignorance, consciousness also there. Consciousness also like just water. The other mental formations like that we add something to water. In this situation, we should understand Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, they can be seen in various places. We should give the definitions for these words according to the context, environment where they are in. That is why we need the association of good friends, noble association. Even though you read some books, you can get this understanding. That is why we need to listen to Dhamma again and again. For example, sometimes Buddha says, Chakkum bhikkhave pariññayam. Eyes should be understood. Sometimes Buddha says, Chakkum bhikkhave adittam, Chakkum bhikkhave pahatabbam. Eyes fired. Eyes should be overcome. Sometimes we can say, we should develop these senses. Indriya Bhavana Sutta. What are the differences? Sometimes Buddha says, I should be understood. That is the very first I. When we contact something, the very first experience should be understood. There, we should not reduce the I. When Buddha appeared in this world, there were some ascetic people who advised their disciples to overcome the very first I. That is why they said their disciples, their discipline was that not to see something, not to hear something. Some meditation masters who were in the Buddha's time, they advised their disciples to not to see anything, not to hear anything. That is their discipline. Then Buddha asks, if this is the real discipline, then if blind people and deaf people are the enlightened persons, because they don't see anything, they don't hear anything. Actually, that is not the discipline in Buddhism. The very first experience should not overcome. The very first experience should be understood. We receive these experiences because of our previous good karmas. At this moment, you look at here and there, you see something because of your previous good karma. That should not be overcome. That is not either pleasant or unpleasant. That is just a karma or vipaka. The very first experience should be understood. And also then after it ceased, we take it as still it is happening. It consists of ignorance. When we think that I have I at this moment, there are some forms here at this moment, actually we take it with our ignorance. That should be overcome. That ignorance should be overcome. That I is fired. That I should be overcome. That is why Buddha says, Chakkum bhikkhave adittam, Chakkum bhikkhave pahatabbam. I is fired. I should be overcome. That I consists of ignorance. We take it as still it is happening. After it ceased, we think still it is happening, it is mine, it is me, it is myself. Actually, that is not true. That should be overcome. And also, when we practice Dhamma, at that moment we need a physical body. Without a physical body, we can practice Dhamma. When we are going to listen to Dhamma, we need a physical body. We should have ears. That is why we listen to Dhamma. Therefore, we need a physical body. But we should understand the reality of this process. In this situation, Buddha says, we should take care of our physical body. We should respect it. We should treat it. Without having this physical body, we can't practice Dhamma. That is why Buddha says in Rohitassa Sutta, Imasmin yeva vyamamatte kalebaresa sanyimhe lokancha panyapeme loka samudayancha loka nirodhancha loka nirodhagami patipadancha. The Four Noble Truths depend on this physical body, which consists of mind and body. When we realize, when we understand the first truth, we need these 5 aggregates, body and mind. When we overcome the noble truth of the origin of suffering, we should have this physical body and mind. When we practice Dhamma, the Noble Eightfold Path, we should have this physical body and mind. After we attain enlightenment, furthermore, we use this physical body for the benefits of many people in this world. After we attain enlightenment, furthermore, we live in this world helping others for the longevity of the dispensation of the Buddha. But after we attain enlightenment, we don't depend on any physical world, even our physical body. We have realized the material world. We can't receive this material world in the present moment as our understanding. We can contact something. When we understand it, the material world has already ceased. Therefore, again and again, we have to listen to this message with many discourses. Not only we should listen to it, we should contemplate on it again and again. This reality. But we are mostly interested in listening to Dhamma. We appreciate the Dhamma Desana and we go home and spend a very common life. Again we come to the temple, we listen to Dhamma, we are inspired and we appreciate Swaminathan's very nice talk. Again we go home, come back to the temple. We have no difference. Forever you appreciate Dhamma Desana and speakers. If you need to see a difference in your life, having this understanding, you should develop the duration of practicing Samatha and Vipassana. Then you can see a difference in your life.
Number one goal that we have to have is to gain the Tathumatra fully. You have a goal to work on.
Becoming to the jhana is not essential until we attain anagami. Without jhanas, we can attain sotapanna and sakadagami. But if we have jhanas, it is very easy to become those positions in spirituality. But it is not essential until we attain anagami. But the very interesting thing, when we attain the sotapanna and sakadagami, at that moment, our mind is in the jhana level as the eternal truth. That is the reality. But it doesn't mean that we should continue the jhana. We should not continue the jhana. It is not essential. It is not compulsory. But if we have jhanas, it is very easy to go forward on this path because our hindrances are very low level. Therefore, the main goal should be within us that not to become Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami or Arhat. We need to overcome suffering. That should be our main purpose. We need to overcome suffering. That is our main goal. Vidya Vimukti, attaining understanding and liberation. Buddha always advised us to become this position, Vidya Vimukti. The Buddha says very clearly, I preach Dhamma for you for the liberation and understanding. Liberation from suffering. When someone blames us, if we get angry, even though we have Sotapanna, actually we are suffering. Therefore, if we are mindful at that moment, even though we don't become the Sotapanna, we can overcome suffering at that moment. It doesn't mean that we should not become Sotapanna. Actually, even though we need or we don't need to become Sotapanna, as the result of this path, gradually we can attain those spiritual stages. When we practice this path, always we try to train our mind to live for a long time with sati, samadhi, panya, or mindfulness, concentration and wisdom. We should increase the duration of practicing sati, samadhi and panya. This is the real success of our spiritual life. Then we can see the results of our practice. Day by day we overcome suffering. Our success completely depends on the duration of practicing concentration, mindfulness and wisdom. For that, sati nimitta or living in the present moment mindfully is very, very, very important. If we can practice sati nimitta, we can add any mental formation, any positive, wholesome mental formation to our mind. If we can live alone with mindfulness object, it means as we like, we can live with loving kindness, with Buddhanusati, with Dhammanusati, with Marananusati, with Anicca Sanya, anything that we can apply to the mind. It depends on the ability of practicing sati nimitta. If we practice sati nimitta, mindfulness object, the focus of mindfulness, it means we can add the highest mental formation to our mind. Then we apply wisdom to our mind. When you have several gems with several prices, you always choose the very most valuable gem. There are many gems that we can see according to what the Buddha taught. There are 25 spiritual mental formations, chetana or chaitasika. There are 25 wholesome mind objects. Among them, wisdom is the most valuable gem. That is why Buddha says, Panya Naranang Ratanam. Wisdom is the most valuable gem of the men. What is that? reflecting on impermanence, Udyabhyagamini Panya, reflecting on arising and ceasing of five aggregates. Whatever you see, whatever you taste, whatever you smell, whatever you feel, it means five aggregates arise and cease. Reflecting on arising and ceasing of five aggregates is the highest gem that you can earn in this Buddha Sasana, the dispensation of the Buddha. This is the most valuable gem that Buddha chose from the bottom of the ocean. The Buddha as a Bodhisattva swam in this great ocean for a long time, searching this valuable gem. He had been swimming for a long time in this sansaric journey as a Bodhisattva to attain Buddhahood. As the result of this great effort, he found a very special, valuable gem, which is wisdom, insight meditation, or reflecting on impermanence, arising and ceasing of our five aggregates, senses, nama, rupa, so on.
So the experience that we get through the sensories are no longer there by the time that we come to know that it's that what you.
Yes, first of all, we should know it by listening to Dhamma. That is Suttamaya Panya, the wisdom of hearing. When you listening to Dhamma, at that moment you receive one of the steps of wisdom. That is very important. That says in Buddhism, Suttamaya Panya, the wisdom of hearing. That is very important. Now you are receiving that gem. Not only that, you have to think it again and again. That is Chintamaya Panya, the wisdom of contemplating on. And also finally, we have to become the Bhavanamaya Panya, the wisdom of meditating through practicing Samatha and Vipassana. These three stages should be developed for wisdom. For that, associating good friends plays a very big role. And also, when we receive the good association, noble association, we should be gently spoken, and we should be wise, and also we should be honest. Honesty, being gently spoken, and wisdom are very important. Even though we receive the good association, if we don't pay our attention to what they say, we can't receive the message. Therefore, Suvaci is very important. It should be gently spoken. All of you have that ability, that good activity, good thing. Not only that, we should be honest. Whatever we do with the intention of enlightenment, we should be honest. What is the honesty? When we do something, we should contemplate on it again and again, whether my craving, conceit, and self-view, trishna, dushtiman, increase or decrease. This is the honesty. Trishna, dushtiman, whether they increase or decrease. Not only what you do at the temple, but wherever you go and live, whatever you do, you should think again and again, when I do these activities, whether my craving, conceit and self-view increase or decrease. This is the place where we should be honest. And also we should be wise, nipaka. The quality of nipaka also very important. We should have very sensitive understanding, sensitive intelligence or wisdom. When someone explains something, we should be very wise whether this person explains the correct path or not. Whether this person explains uppada nirodha or anutpada nirodha. Uppada nirodha means the cessation of something has arisen. Or the anutpada nirodha, the cessation what doesn't arise. This is a very sensitive place where we should be wise. We should understand. Some person can say that this building may be destroyed, this is changing, every moment everything is changing. Actually, it can be understood by anyone. It is not difficult to understand. That is Utpada Nirodha. Before Buddha did his great renunciation, he understood it. He understood that Jara Marana Vyadi, Satara Peranimiti. He showed it. After he attained enlightenment, he says very clearly, I realized something that I had never realized. I realized very special thing. That is the Anutpada Nirodha. We can say something can be changed. It is very easy to say. After cessation of something, we take something as permanent and then we say it can be changed. But when we understand something as materials, actually already it has ceased. For example, when we go to a mirror, we can see a reflection on the mirror. Someone can say, looking at the reflection of the mirror, this may be changing, he can contemplate on. But someone can say that this reflection arises at the moment when I come here. The thing is here, that is why the reflection is on the mirror. When I move away, immediately it ceases without remaining anything. Then he doesn't need to reflect on the impermanence of the reflection on the mirror. As soon as he go away, he move from the mirror, immediately that reflection ceases. But we are like that, who are in front of the mirror and who are contemplating on the impermanence of the reflection of the mirror. By reflecting of the impermanence or changing of the mirror, we can't overcome ignorance. Nothing is permanent. There also we can say Vipaka Mano Dhatu and Vipaka Mano Vijnana Dhatu. They are also impermanent. They belong to the result of our karma. They are neither pleasant nor unpleasant. They are neither wholesome nor unwholesome. They are just Vipaka or result. Again, another mind consciousness arises after they all ceased. That is new karma. Chakku Vijnana, Vipaka mano dhatu, vipaka mano vijnana dhatu. All belong to the result. They are neutral. After they ceased, another mind consciousness, mano vijnana, arises, depending on those mano vijnana and mano dhatu. But it is different. The new one is the new karma. Then, if you are ignorant, that mano vijnana belongs to avidya paccaya sankhara circle. If you are mindful and wise at this moment, that mano vijnana belongs to the Noble Eightfold Path that leads to overcome suffering. In another way, Arahants, they also have mind consciousness, mano vijnana. They also receive this mano vijnana after the first mano vijnana has ceased. Their mind consciousness doesn't belong to anywhere. Their mind consciousness completely consists of panya or wisdom. But that also impermanent. That also always arises and ceases. Nothing is permanent. Everything arises and ceases. But their process is different. Their duty is different. Their activity is different. But we should be wise where this mano consciousness belong to. Now when you think something, we don't need to compare the Arahants and me. We should compare me with myself. You can compare your consciousness with yourself. You should decide whether now I live in the past experience or I live with ignorance or I live in the Noble Eightfold Path. We should always compare with ourselves. Whenever we live in the past experience with ignorance, it means we are in the samsaric circle. That mind consciousness causes us to get suffering. That mind consciousness should be overcome because it belongs to the samsaric circle, avidya paccaya sankhara. Sankhara is there, mind consciousness is there. That mind consciousness causes us to get suffering. And also, whenever we practice the Noble Eightfold Path, right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, that mind consciousness belongs to the Noble Eightfold Path. That helps us to overcome the samsaric circle, suffering. That should be developed because we are on the path. Then we are confident in that mind consciousness that helps us to overcome the suffering. For that, we should be mindful and we should be wise. Mindfulness and wisdom are very important. And also for mindfulness and wisdom, we should have highest discipline in our speech and behavior. practicing 5 precepts. When you go to the higher level, Nacha kuddhan samachare kinchi yena vinyo paripadeyo. We should not do any slight wrong conduct which is concerned by the vice. We should have this highest discipline in our behavior. Without completing the moral conduct, we are unable to complete mindfulness, concentration, or wisdom. If we have this understanding, the knowledge of arising and ceasing of suffering for 5 aggregates, if we are confident in what the Buddha taught, the message, actually we are ready to dedicate everything. If we have real confidence in this message, we are hurried to overcome suffering. We are ready to dedicate everything that we have. Then we have Indriya Samvara, discipline in senses. Jagariyana Yoga, vigilant. Bhojane Matanyudata, discipline in food. These are the qualities that we have. Indriya Samvara, Bhojane Matanyudata, and Jagariyana Yoga. It is in the higher level from virtue or sila. Pasalos charan dharma වලත් ඇතුළත් වෙනවා. It means we are interested in practicing this Dhamma. We are ready to dedicate our sleep too. We are ready to dedicate even our food. We are ready to control our senses for this spiritual goal. If you have an educational goal, without sleeping you read, you get ready for your exams. Without having some food, you read some books and get ready for your exam. Because you have a goal, educational goal. Actually, if we have a spiritual goal, we are ready to dedicate everything. But first of all, we should have confidence in what the Buddha taught. Without this confidence, having this understanding, we don't have real effort. That is why immediately we receive confidence, we receive saddha, then virya, effort. As the result of having effort, we enter the path, mindfulness, sati. As the result of practicing sati, mindfulness for a long time, we are able to concentrate our mind, that is samadhi. As the result of practicing or gaining concentration, we contemplate on the world reality as it is according to what we have already listened to. Panya. That is why, according to Dhammanupassana, first we practice Kayanupassana, then Vedanupassana, next Chittanupassana, then mind gains concentration, we practice Dhammanupassana, we contemplate on the Four Noble Truths. First we have listening to it as the Sutame Jnana. When we practice the path, we are contemplating it. And also when mind gains concentration, now we see it. Janato passato. Janato means Sutame Panya, passato means Bhavaname Panya. When mind gains concentration, we contemplate on Four Noble Truths according to what we heard. Dukkha Satya, this is Dukkha Satya. The 5 aggregates, the first experience is the Dukkha Satya. Craving is the Samudaya Satya. Cessation of craving is the Nirodha Satya. The Noble Eightfold Path is the path that leads to getting rid of suffering. Then we see it very clearly as the result of concentrating our mind.
Yes, I've heard of people slowly.
Please say again. Actually, it helps us to realize something very clearly. That is very important. When we are hurry or uddacha means our mind goes here and there. Uddacha, kukucha, those mental formations confuse our mind. Therefore, if we can take our mind in a particular object, if we are able to keep our mind in a particular object slowly and mindfully, that helps us to realize something very clearly. That is very important. That belongs to not only Kayanupassana but other Anupassana too. Vedanupassana, silently we contemplate on our feelings. Kaya Kayanupassana Viharati, contemplation of feelings, contemplation of consciousness. Okay, friends in the Dhamma, now we are going to continue Anapanasati Bhavana. We practice only the first step of mindfulness of breathing, Kayanupassana. Now we are going to practice other Anupassana too. Anapanasati, which belongs to Vedanupassana too. Okay, for that, please get ready. Okay, please be aware of your body posture. From your legs to head and from your head to legs. Please keep your attention around the nose or upper lip with the sati nimitta, the focus of mindfulness. Focusing our mind around the nose or upper lip, we are aware of breathing in and out. When I breathe in, I am aware of that now I am breathing in. When I breathe out, I understand that now I am breathing out. When I breathe in and out mindfully, I feel pleasant and unpleasant feelings. Especially I feel very pleasant feelings when I breathe in and out mindfully. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, sensitive to rapture. Breathing out, sensitive to rapture. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, sensitive to pleasure. Breathing out, sensitive to pleasure. I see the feelings, pleasant and unpleasant, when I breathe in and out mindfully. Those feelings arise because of contact. As the result of the cessation of contact, these feelings also cease. I understand the causality of arising and ceasing of these feelings. These feelings are impermanent, dissatisfactory, and selfless. These feelings are not mine, they are not me, they are not myself. They are just result of contact. Feelings arise and cease. They are impermanent. Arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing. I see the arising and ceasing of feelings. I am fully aware of my breathing in and out in the present moment, keeping my attention around the nose or upper lip. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, sensitive to mental fabrications. Breathing out, sensitive to mental fabrication. Breathing in, calming mental fabrication. Breathing out, calming bodily fabrication. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I see the impermanence of feelings. Every moment, pleasant and unpleasant feelings arise and cease. When conditions arise, they arise. As the cessation of conditions, the feelings also cease. The feelings arising and ceasing. They are impermanent. They are dissatisfactory. They are selfless. They are not mine. They are not me. They are not myself. They are the results of some causes or reasons. Arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Friends in the Dhamma, we practice the second step of breathing meditation, Vedananupassana, which belongs to feelings. And next, we are going to practice the third part, Chittanupassana. While we are contemplating on our breathing in and out, we contemplate on consciousness. Every moment, consciousness arises and ceases with the rising of Nama Rupa. Nama means mentality and Rupa means corporeality. As the result of arising and ceasing of mentality and corporeality, consciousness also arises and ceases. By practicing breathing meditation, we can understand the nature of consciousness. That consciousness also impermanent. It arises and ceases at the moment. Okay, let's practice the third part of breathing meditation, which belongs to Chittanupassana. Please be aware of the sati nimitta, focus of mindfulness. With the awareness of sati nimitta, now I am going to practice breathing meditation. Contemplating non-breathing in and out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. When I breathe in and out mindfully, I can understand my mind. When mind has negative thoughts, I immediately understand the mind. Then gradually negative mental formations go away and positive mental formations gradually increase. Sati, mindfulness. Saddha, confidence. These positive thoughts gradually increases. Recognize in my mind consciousness. I am breathing in and out mindfully. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Every moment my mind arises and ceases. When mentality and corporeality arise, consciousness also arises. As a result of the cessation of mentality and corporeality, consciousness also ceases. Arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I see the impermanence of mind or consciousness. It arises and ceases every moment. Arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing. Every moment, consciousness arises and ceases with the conditions. This consciousness is not mine, me or myself. It is a result of some conditions. It is impermanent. It is dissatisfactory. It is selfless. It arises and ceases every moment. Anityai, anityai, anityai. Anityai, anityai, anityai. Anityai, anityai, anityai. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Friends in the Dhamma, we practice the third part of breathing meditation, which belongs to Chittanupassana. Anapanasati or breathing meditation is categorized into 16 stages. When someone can practice these 16 stages according to what the Buddha taught, he is able to develop fourfold mindfulness, and also he is able to develop 7 enlightenment factors and is able to achieve knowledge and liberation too. This is the Buddha's message that we can practice. Practicing Dhamma, especially practicing meditation, is the way how we give the highest value to our life. When we practice Dhamma, it means we purify our mind. Whenever we purify our mind, we are happy. We have no suffering at that moment. When we are happy, our close relatives and friends are also happy. But our enemies are unhappy. When we are happy, purifying our mind, our close relatives, especially our parents and our relatives, our close friends, they are also happy because of our happiness. Therefore, if we want to make our parents and close relatives and friends happy, practicing Dhamma is the path. Be sure that when we practice Dhamma, we can purify our mind and also we can develop our inner peace, happiness. We can see the results. Even though we don't receive some recommendations from our outside, we can see the difference day by day. If we can make a refuge within us by practicing Dhamma, we don't depend on outside. We don't need to ask happiness from outside. If we can make a refuge within us by practicing Dhamma, then we have real freedom, liberation, emancipation, refuge. Then we do something as our duties and responsibilities, but we don't find anything for our inner peace, because we have already created refuge within us. with the association of the Dhamma by practicing Dhamma. Okay, I really appreciate your participation. Now we are going to the very last session of this meditation. By practicing Dhammanupassana, we are going to reflect on impermanence of 5 aggregates. Okay, please show attention in the present moment. Please be aware of the present moment. Okay, mindfully, please breathe in and out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. When my mind gains concentration with the awareness of breathing in and out, when negative thoughts come to my mind, such as 5 hindrances, sensual pleasure, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worries, skeptical doubts. When those negativities come to my mind, I immediately recognize those negativities. When I recognize these negative thoughts, they immediately go away. Then I am free from these negative thoughts. My mind is free from hindrances. And also I can see positive thoughts such as 7 enlightenment factors. Sati, Dhamma, Virya, Piti, Vasaddi, Samadhi, Upekha. These enlightenment factors gradually increase when I am mindful in the present moment with breathing in and out. At the same time, I recognize my 6 senses, 6 spheres. And also I understand the external objects too. I understand the arising of 5 aggregates. Rupa, form, Vedana, feeling, Sanya, perception, Sankhara, mental formations, and Vijnana, consciousness. These 5 things arise together, they immediately cease together. Arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing. My entire life is the present moment. That present moment consists with 5 aggregates or 4 aggregates. They arise together, they cease together. My entire life is that arising and ceasing of 5 aggregates or 4 aggregates. Besides these aggregates, I have nothing in my life. They arise together, they cease together. They are impermanent. They are dissatisfactory. They are selfless. With the awareness of breathing in and out, when mind gains concentration, I reflect on this impermanence which happens to my 5 aggregates or 4 aggregates. Arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing. Sabbe sankhara anicchati yada paññāya passati atanindindati dukkhe esa maggo visuddhiya. All conditioned things are impermanent. He who sees this reality with wisdom overcomes suffering. This is the path to purity. Sabbe sankhara dukkhati yada paññāya passati atanindindati dukkhe esa maggo visuddhiya. All conditioned things are dissatisfactory or suffering. He who sees this reality with wisdom overcomes suffering. This is the path to purity. Sabbe Dhamma anattati Yada Panyaya Pansati Atanin Vindati Dunke Ese Maggo Visundhiya. All phenomena are selfless. He who sees this reality with wisdom overcomes suffering. This is the path to purity. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Friends in the Dhamma, since morning you have been practicing the Buddha's message. Especially you listening to Dhamma and practice meditation. By the power of all these meritorious activities and wholesome activities that you accrued throughout this program, may our departed relatives also receive this spiritual energy. Especially the beloved mother of Mr. Anand Sinivaratna receive this merit, and your departed relatives also, if they are needing merit, may they receive this spiritual energy, may they enhance their spiritual energy, may they receive blissful lives, and finally may they also attain the final bliss of liberation. With that intention, let's say, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. By the power of this spiritual energy, may guardian deities and angels also rejoice with this great wholesome activity. May they develop their divine energy and may they keep their eye on you too. Especially, may they protect our reverend sirs, venerable monks who are residence monks are here. They work hard for this program and we really appreciate Bante Dhammapiti, Bante Sirinanda, Bante Dhammaloka, Bante Suwanna, Bante Dhammalankara. Actually, they did a lot of things to succeed this program. We appreciate them and we bless them. May the divine beings protect them. May the divine being also attain the final bliss of liberation. With that intention, let's say, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. By the power of all these activities, may you be well, happy and peaceful. May you all righteous wishes meet with success. By the power of this spirituality, may all of us attain the final bliss of liberation. Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. Dukkham pantaca niddukkha Bhayam pantaca nidbhaya Sokam pantaca nissoka Huntu samde pipanino Dukin pelena sat Dukin midetva Bien pelena sat Bienati vetva Solinte venasat Somnas vetva Nitin me hamasat Suvapat vetva. May the triple gem bless you.